Back to a big story on the hour. We have reconnected with VINMARTIN ILO, who will share his position on the personality of Christian CHUKWU, who he has encountered as a journalist. Good day, Vin. Hello, Vin. Are you still there?
I'm with you. I am with you.
All right, go ahead. You are opportune to speak with the football legend Christian CHUKWU just passed. I'd like to have a bit of your conversation with him by your own thoughts, on your own thoughts.
Okay, first of all, I must say that I was privileged to be the journalist who had his last very elaborate interview. That interview lasted for more than 2 hours, and eventually we cut it down to about an hour to be able to air it. So.
And it was exclusive?
It was an exclusive interview.
Oh,
yes,
good.
it was an exclusive interview, and it took us a while to get that interview arranged because Christian was recuperating from his long illness, and it was a period he was just so thankful to God that Otedola had intervened to take him out for an operation and all that. So I saw a man, sincerely I saw a man who was fulfilled. Christian was fulfilled. He told me about his family, he told me about his wife, he told me about his children, how well they were doing. He recounted the high points of his career, which included lifting the African Cup of Nations as captain, which included being a member of the team, actually the assistant coach, when the country lifted the African Cup of Nations again. He told me about his struggles as a little boy when his parents wouldn't let him go and play ball and thought he was an irresponsible child, and then told me about how they became even the biggest beneficiaries because they like to be addressed as Christian CHUKWU's father or Christian CHUKWU's mother. But one regret, in spite of the fulfillment, was that Christian thought and felt, and I'm sure I saw the clip you played back, Christian was really, really unhappy about how ex-footballers who had brought, pride to our nation have been treated. He mentioned some of the ones that have died. I'm sure he didn't know by now he will also have passed away, but it was very sad. He told me that all they got from the government, and he said it started with 20,000 naira from Anambra government at some point, and now I think they pay him 100,000 every month, or 50,000. I'm not sure now. Christian bemoaned the fact that some of them that were icons were never taken care of, and it was very sad. It was very sad, and it's still very sad. But what I am thinking now that Christian is dead, it's instructive to know that where our reporter reported from this afternoon in Trans-Ekulu in Enugu was a 3-bedroom bungalow, a decrepit 3-bedroom bungalow that was gifted Christian CHUKWU, I don't know how many decades ago. I don't know why, our government at this time cannot take care of people that have brought pride to our nation, to our state, and to the society. So, being shocked by the news yesterday, I just remember that conversation, and I remembered what he told me when when my colleagues and I were leaving his house. He said, "Vin, now you know the way to my house. You have to come back again. We have to have another interview."
And that never happened.
Yes, it's unfortunate that interview will no longer hold. But I think that this is the time for this nation to show appreciation to Christian CHUKWU. This is the time for our governors in the southeast for the president, for the minister of sports, to give this man a state burial. He should be given a state burial. To give this man the honor. I was privileged to be at Nkemowo's 70th birthday 3 days ago, thereabout in Enugu. And there was no governor. There was no senator. There was no House of Reps member. There was practically nobody in government to show appreciation to these icons. I hope and I pray that Christian Chukwu's death would bring back this regime of honoring our great heroes and our icons.
It's great you shared with us some of his regrets, but I don't know how football was during his time when you were having a chat with him. What was his description of football comparatively to what was happening as at the time he was still here?
Well, I remember I asked him a question if he had made money from football, and it was a very funny part of our conversation, because Christian said, Vin, if I had made money, maybe this interview you'll be holding it in my villa in London, or you'll be holding it in my house somewhere in New York. He said, if you look at it, what we entitled that interview we had with Christian Chukwu, I think it was something to do with passion, other passion, not money, something like that. That's what we entitled it, and that was because of Christian told me that, look, when they were playing football, that all they enjoyed was the fact that they were playing football. They were bringing honor to the nation, and especially bringing honor to the Igbo men who had just come out from war and needed kind of a confidence-boosting situation. And Rangers and the exploits of Rangers did that for them. So Christian said that, though it was not a regret, he said that when he looks back and sees the kind of money that was being made in football, some of them wished that this was their era. Because he told me that when they won matches, what actually happened that some people will go and buy a half bag of rice and bring to their house, some will go and buy meat, some will go, people just wanted to show a kind of appreciation. They didn't get contracts, and it wasn't an era where you could move from Rangers Football Club to one club in the US. They were employees. He told me they were employees of the state government.
And so were paid salaries.
They were paid salaries. So the greatest thing that happened when they won matches that were significant was that they were either promoted or they were given a little monetary value. Monetary gift. So they didn't make money. They were passionate about what they were doing. They were passionate about football. And I remember at one point I said, Christian, as a chairman, how do you feel about football today? And he said, look, the problem is that government is no longer investing in football. He said that a lot of our youths who were into all these crimes and 419 and what have you, that if we invested in sports, they would be taken off the streets. He talked about the academicals. There were football match competitions for secondary schools those days, primary schools, which was a breeding ground for finding talents. Christian regretted that these things were no longer happening, and nobody was investing in football. And he had advised that government and private individuals should get involved in football because it was a big money earner, and it could help the psyche of the nation, it could help the psyche of the state, and it could help the psyche of our young ones.
Thank you very much, Vin. You've been most resourceful, and we have had quite an engagement or several engagements with some persons who actually encountered past Christian Chukwu while he was still here. Moving